Knowing how to spend less money than you make is critical for being able to build wealth. It does not matter if you consider yourself to be a high income earner or a low income earner. Anyone can struggle financially if they don't manage their money properly. If you're anything like me, you might have gone to the grocery store recently and realized how expensive food prices are getting compared to what they used to be. And that's why I want to share with you my top 10 tips for saving money and building wealth on any income, as long as you have some income. My first tip is to avoid impulse buying by planning your purchases carefully. Back to our example of the grocery store. Have you ever gone grocery shopping for the essentials and come back with snacks and desserts that you didn't need? That problem could have been solved by making a detailed shopping list and sticking to it. My grandfather was a pretty frugal person, and he had a saying, "I only buy things if I need it or love it." I like to take that saying a step further. I may feel like I love something in the moment, but I like to go by the 72-hour rule, where I take a step back, give it 72 hours, and see, would I still want or need this purchase after 72 hours? Chances are, after 72 hours, if it was an impulse purchase, you most likely don't want it anymore. Or at least it doesn't feel like it's worth the money anymore. And that's why taking the time to carefully plan your purchases really does help you to save money in the long run. Tip number 2 is to reduce and avoid debt. Now I know what you're thinking. How can I reduce my debt if I'm barely making ends meet? And that's exactly why these techniques are so important, to teach you how to live below your means so that you can have that money to pay off your debt. You may have heard the phrase, pay yourself first, commonly attributed to Robert Kiyosaki in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What this really means is that before you focus on paying your housing, paying your car bill, you're setting aside money each month for you. Learning to pay yourself first is going to be essential for building wealth in the long run. But if you have credit card debt or any high interest rate debt, you have to get that paid off first, or you're going to have such a hard time building wealth and saving money. Did you know the average credit card interest rate is 24.25%? That means if you're carrying a balance on your credit card month over month, a great amount of your money is going into the pockets of those credit card companies. By making it a priority to pay off high interest rate debt, you'll reduce your expenses, which will help you save more money. Tip number 3, cut back on eating out. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to never eat out. I know you're probably often busy and might have to pick up fast food, or maybe you like going out to eat with family and friends, and that's perfectly fine. But this goes back to planning accordingly so that you know where your expenses are going. It's important to have a budget on how much money you can spend on food a month, and if you go out with family and friends, maybe try to order something less expensive than you normally would. This has been one of the biggest struggles for my wife and I. We both work full time, and sometimes at the end of a busy day, the last thing we want is to have to decide what we want to cook. So what we've done to cut back on eating out and ordering food is using EveryPlate. EveryPlate is owned by HelloFresh, but they offer more affordable meal plans. We save both time and money by using EveryPlate. We select our meals in advance, and EveryPlate delivers both the menus and the ingredients directly to our door. This saves us the hassle of having to decide what we want to cook for dinner and going to the grocery store and potentially buying more than what we planned on getting. The average price for EveryPlate is about $6 per person per meal, but we often receive coupons from EveryPlate where we can get our servings at $2 a person, which is so much cheaper than if we were to go and order out, even at McDonald's. I've put a link below in the description if you're interested in checking out EveryPlate, and you can even get a discount on your first box. Tip number 4 is to identify and reconsider your subscription services. Chances are, you likely are subscribed to things and paying money every month that you don't use very often or may not even remember. There are apps out there like Truebill and Rocket Money that allow you to keep track of and cancel those unwanted subscriptions to save you more money. But this really is an opportunity to self-reflect. Do you really need Netflix, Hulu, Disney, and all of those other streaming platforms? What I've personally realized is while they're fun to have access to all of them, I end up wasting more of my time by streaming more shows when I could be doing more productive things and making more money. If a subscription really is important to you, look for alternatives that might be cheaper or consider sharing with family and friends and when opportunities arise. You can really save a lot of money every month just by reviewing and being aware of your subscriptions. Tip number 5, use coupons and discounts whenever possible to save money. But be careful not to be baited into a purchase just because of a sale. I personally love when I find a good discount, and while it is enticing to go and stock up on diapers at Costco when they're on sale, I have to think of how much do I really need, and is it really a good sale? It's important to remember that retailers often are trying to use sales to get you into the store, where once again, you'll do impulse purchases, and you'll buy things that you didn't need and walk out spending more money than you had planned. If you do love coupons and discounts, I'd recommend looking into Honey, Retail Me Not, Coupons.com, and subscribe to stores that you love so that you're aware of whenever there are sales and discounts. If something is not a necessity, it's likely there's going to be a time where it is on sale, so try to plan your purchases so that you can get them at the best price possible. Tip number 6, buy secondhand or DIY instead of buying. Now obviously, this won't apply to every situation, but if you're in the market for a car, more than likely you can buy a used car that's going to be much more affordable and work great. I have a 2-month-old baby, and do you know how much is the most I've spent on a single article of clothing? $2. That's because we have great local thrift stores with lots of baby clothes that's very clean and affordable. So what are some things you can DIY to save money? Well, next time you have a task around the house, paint it yourself. Consider planting a garden. Do some things that make you more self-sufficient while saving you money. And this may be hard to hear, but remember the quote, "The rich stay rich by living like they're poor, and the poor stay poor by living like they're rich." Me personally, I prefer to have wealth rather than look like I have wealth. Tip number 7 is to get yourself a good rewards credit card and to use it wisely. Now we've already discussed avoiding debt, but you should use this credit card almost like it's a debit card and pay it off in full every month. Having a good rewards credit card will get you cash back and points that you can potentially use to travel. This is a fantastic way of using your purchases that you would already need to purchase to get rewards and to get cash back. Personally, my favorite rewards credit card is my Chase Sapphire Preferred. In the relatively short amount of time that I've had this card, I've already built up over $3,000 worth of travel rewards. Not to mention, I love that the card's metal and has some weight to it. I've put a referral link in the description in case you're interested in checking out the card. It really is a great way of saving money on everyday purchases that you're going to buy regardless. Tip number 8, invest in quality, long-lasting items. Now I know what you're thinking, how can I save money by spending more money on better quality items? Let me share a personal example. I have a pair of dress shoes from Allen Edmonds that were over $400. Now for me, who loves to save money, I couldn't fathom spending $400 on a pair of dress shoes. But now I've done the math. This pair of shoes will last me a lifetime. Before, I would spend $100 a year buying new dress shoes after mine would continue to wear down and break. And so just after a few years of owning these shoes, they've already paid for themselves, and I don't have to continually buy and waste money on more shoes that aren't as good of quality. This technique can apply to many things, from kitchen appliances to furniture, but the most important point is that you should do your research. Make sure you check before you purchase something to see if it really is worth the money in the long run. And of course, you should be able to afford the purchase up front. Don't put it on debt just because it is more expensive and nicer, because ultimately that might cost you more money in the long run. Tip number 9, negotiate your bills and fees. By just dedicating an hour of your time, you can save hundreds if not thousands of dollars by negotiating your bills and fees. So what bills and fees are commonly negotiable? Just to name a few, you can go shopping for new car insurance. You can negotiate with your phone bill. You can negotiate with credit card fees and debt. And you can even negotiate for your hospital bill to be lowered. You have so many bills and fees that you may not have even thought of that are negotiable, but it's important that you're firm and you do your research ahead of time to know what price you're looking for. By being good at negotiating, you can save yourself a lot of money in the long run. And finally, tip number 10, practice gratitude. By practicing gratitude, you can develop a more positive and mindful approach to money. So many of my friends and family are scared of money. It makes them nervous and uncomfortable to think or talk about their finances. By practicing gratitude, you can be thankful for what you have, and that will help you to have a mindset of knowing what you want for the future. A few ways that I've been able to develop my own gratitude is by keeping a gratitude journal, where every day I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. I also strive every chance I get to express my gratitude for my friends and family and all that they do for me. Having this mindset helps me to see all of the amazing things that I have in my life, and ultimately that leads to me not having the desire to go and spend money on impulsive things that I ultimately don't need and aren't going to make me happy in the long run. If you take the time over the next week to express gratitude to your friends and family and those people in your life that do so much for you, I know that you're going to have an easier time saving money and planning for what you want to accomplish in the future. I know from personal experience that these 10 tips can help you to save money during a recession no matter what your income is. Let me know in the comments if you have any other tips and tricks that you love to use to save money. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more valuable content like this. Thank you for your time, and I wish you the best.